Historically, most cello records are done with piano or with orchestra as an accompaniment. And the idea of doing a solo record or a solo concert where the only voice is an unaccompanied cello, it's done from time to time, but it's not as widely experienced by people. And you know, they did a computer analysis of a cello tone, and in fact, they did all the instruments of the orchestra, and they found that the cello tone most closely mimics that of the human voice. This is my better cello, which I travel with when I need to. Built in 1681, which makes it the only thing around here older than the Bach. I think as people get closer to perfecting their technique at any given instrument, they sound more and more like their, like their soul or like their personality. And so, as a musician, it's very important to guard that aspect of yourself and to develop that aspect of yourself, because if you get good enough, you're going to sound more like yourself, your values, your emotions, your inner life. There are 6 cello suites by Bach, and each of them has 6 little dances. It's a suite of dances. I had this crazy idea that it's, you know, sort of the foundation of our repertoire is these Bach suites. Of course, I love to play them like everybody does, but I also love to play solo 20th century and late 20th century and now 21st century cello music. So I thought I would try to find a way to combine those two loves into one project. So this is a sort of an experiment, and we're calling it Hypersuite, which is the expansion of a Bach suite. So the Bach suite is the framework, it's the narrative, into which I put all of these disparate, wild voices. So you'll have a movement of Bach, and then something by Elliott Carter, and then a movement of Bach, and then, you know, a rock-influenced piece by Kenji, and a very quiet piece by Morton Feldman, and then more Bach. So that you're constantly going back and forth with the Bach, reminding you of the roots, reminding you of our past, of the, you know, the centering quality of music, and then all the new composers showing all of the possibilities that the cello can do. And that's the thing about recent contemporary composition, is that every piece defines its own world. There's no consensus about what a piece of music should sound like at the cello anymore. And so the idea of grounding all that with something where there was great consensus in the 17th, 18th century, to ground it and center it and give it some perspective, I think will be very satisfying for people. And since there are 6 Bach suites, potentially there are 6 Hypersuites, which means, I don't know, some 50 pieces or something that I can record over a 6-record project over the years. It's going to be reflective and a different way to admire the genius of Bach, of course, which is astonishing. I recruited some colleagues and friends of mine, David Barron, who was a schoolmate of mine at Oberlin, and he's been pushing me since the very beginning to record a solo cello record. And so when this idea kind of started percolating, I thought this would be the perfect place to do it. The place is a little unusual to record a classical record in a rock-based studio, but you have a lot of control, and it's an amazing team. Henry Hirsch is an unbelievable record producer with a great ear. Not classically trained, which I actually like because he listens in a very pure way. Dave is classically trained, he does both. But between the 3 of us, we find a real synergy of how to put something together with a lot of different perspectives. Now, and it's weird because I'm doing a dual role as producer and performer, which normally the production is very separate. All the performer does is review the producer's work, and here I'm actually directing it. That's a different role for me, I'm not used to that. It's very hard to be objective. That's why you have Henry and Dave and Albert, because they tell you when you're crazy. there's something deeply soulful about the sound of this instrument without anything else in the room. It has limitations, of course, but there's something terribly intimate and immediate and real about the solo cello. And so there's a peculiar expressive potential, and you get a direct and sort of emotional impression of the sound. But I think spiritually, the closer you get to some ideal of perfection in a technical way, the more purely you're going to represent your inner self. And there's something very fragile and very vulnerable about that.